and welcome to the newest episode of the Nerd Variety Podcast. I am the host, Hannah. Greetings. And I'm joined by my friendos over here. We got Hayden.
Hi.
And Josh.
Hey, what's up?
Yes. We're back again. This week we are talking about documentaries. Now, I gotta be honest, it's been a while since I've watched a documentary, depending on your definition of the word. So my first question is, do science videos on YouTube count as documentaries? Because I watch a lot of those.
How long are they? No.
20, 30 minutes?
No. No.
I watched a really fascinating one about potassium.
That's an educational video.
Potassium.
That's not the same.
These giant pools of water in Utah that they evaporate the water out of to get potassium, and no, doesn't count.
No.
Educational video.
Educational video.
So what's the difference? Is it length? Is that the only difference? You can't have a 20-minute documentary?
There's also just format.
Yeah.
So what is
and
it
purpose.
about?
And purpose.
Okay, so what is it about
documentaries seem to be more focused.
And longer formed. Like, you can have like a docu-series. Like, each episode tells part of the story, or they're broken up in different sections, but they're usually a lot kind of lengthier.
But okay, so the length does matter, is what I'm hearing now.
Yes.
Okay, so you can't have a 20-minute documentary.
Depends. I mean, you can.
Rarely, but most wouldn't fit in the category.
I think my documentary is probably about 20 minutes.
Well, it's not a real documentary then, I guess.
I wouldn't call it. I would maybe say that what is a short film.
Which one? I mean, it's definitely more of a documentary format.
Okay, so what's the format of a documentary?
Mockumentary.
No, mine was a documentary, not the one you were in. My final project.
Oh, okay.
So if there's a specific format to a documentary, what is that?
So there's a loose structure that obviously is going to vary based on subject matter and how just the general approach to it. But usually it will be you follow like a story essentially of how something progressed, or how a certain event or chain of events, related events progressed. And usually it'll be kind of split into sections like a movie would. But you also kind of cut in between usually footage of like, I guess, real life or just whatever you're showing examples of. You cut that in between people commenting on it or sharing their own experiences or perspectives on the subject.
So with the description you've given, I think immediately of like a history documentary. But I feel like a nature documentary is very different because it's not necessarily like a chain of events. It's more just like, look at some flamingos and now look at some penguins and now look at some whatever.
There's still most likely, I don't really watch nature documentaries or history documentaries, historical. Some, I guess, but then I guess again, for the most part,
when I say historical
is very broad.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean like, oh, this happened in the 50s or this happened in the 1800s. I mean just like, it was an event that happened. Let's look at an event rather than being like...
Yeah, most of the ones that I've seen are on the History Channel, and they go over an event or a person, and they talk about the person with like video reels or pictures or things like that, or reenactments, and then they cut it in with people talking about it and giving some context to everything.
Right. I just feel like,
and the same thing with like that show, The Universe.
Okay.
Yeah, and which is more science, which is more sciencey, but it's different than like a nature documentary where they talk about the universe, and they have people on screen talking about the universe.
Yeah, I just feel like the nature documentaries that I'm thinking of don't have a lot of, like, they're mostly just voiceover instead of necessarily being interspersed with like specific videos.
Yeah, it usually goes of
In the Amazon,
Yeah.
there is a man searching for an animal.
It's like lots and lots and lots of drone footage.
Yeah. He finds
Yeah.
one. The animal growls at him and runs
Yeah.
away.
Basically. Yeah.
Truly fascinating.
Pretty much.
Fair.
So I guess I still am wondering, I don't know. I feel like some of the science stuff that I've watched on YouTube, and like, to be fair, I've watched a lot of science stuff on YouTube. Really, really into that, right? I feel like there's a large variety of stuff, but I feel like some of it could be classified as a documentary. I'm still not really understanding why it's not, I guess.
they
But
could have been taken from a documentary. Like I know I've watched like a lot of like clips of like nature clips, and I'm pretty sure they're from a larger documentary.
I'm talking about like original YouTube content. Like, are you guys familiar with the one that I'm thinking of is Veritasium? And he generally has like 20 to 25 minute videos where he breaks down like a really specific topic, and he'll go and like go talk to people. And so like he did one about light, and he's like talking to people in the field. He's like, what do you think is going to happen when we do this to the light? And they're like, nope. And then he breaks down the science of like what is happening and why and stuff like that. And I'm like, that to me feels like a documentary where like we see footage or maybe even like a simulation, and I don't know. No.
Josh is just shooting you
All
down
right.
there.
Apparently.
I think of Planet Earth. I think of all those narrated driven.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna say
about animals and the planet. I think about the ones that are based off people and events, which are the ones I watch the most.
Gotcha. All right. Well, you can keep your highfalutin hoity-toity documentaries. I'll keep my YouTube videos.
Yes.
But I mean, then again, I think we're at a point where, because obviously documentaries have been around a lot longer than YouTube has.
For sure.
So, I mean, I feel like we're at a point where YouTube videos are their own classification.
They can be.
Yeah.
I feel like they also have the ability to meld into anything else, though, because they can be whatever the heck you want.
They can, obviously depending on how they're made.
I don't know.
But I, of course, like to be a rather literal person many times. So I looked up the definition for documentary.
All right.
Here we go.
The first one I don't like as much. It's also documental. It says pertaining to, consisting of, or derived from documents, which, I mean, accurate.
That means any movie could be a documentary, because like a script is a document.
Sure.
Like,
Right.
But then there's also like movies and television based on or recreating an actual event, era, life story, etc., that purports to be factually accurate and contains no fictional elements.
well, then there's a lot of stuff on the History Channel that claims to be documentaries, and it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are like, the aliens made the pyramids. You're like, okay.
You didn't know? I thought I wasn't sure about it.
All right.
If you say so.
I think Patrick, my husband, watched like a whole series on ancient aliens and like all these conspiracy theories, basically on like how they made Stonehenge and the pyramids and the Easter Island heads, and it's just like, all right,
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
And it's funny how a lot of them, they're very presumptuous, very sure of their claim.
Oh, yeah.
And they speak it as fact. But
Well, you have to be. Like, that's one of the first things
yeah.
that you learn in like a high school English class is like, if you're going to write a paper, like that you're trying to persuade someone or make a point, you're not like, well, I think that blah, blah, blah. You're like, no, this happened. This is real. And whether or not they believe you is up to them.
Yeah.
I was always really bad about that.
Yeah.
That's why I was terrible at writing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm still terrible at that.
A lot of that stuff kind of teeters on the edge of like is pretty much pseudoscience, along with and I've seen other like a lot of like health documentaries on Netflix. Some of them probably use a little bit of pseudoscience in there too.
Yeah. Yep.
Good way to sell your whatever you're peddling.
Yeah, well, and we're in a world right now where fact checking anything is a total pain. So it's like, how are you supposed to know whether this is like real science or not real science?
Check Wikipedia.
I don't know if that's reliable.
What? Of course
I
it
don't know.
is.
I don't know.
Anyone can add the information, and everyone is honest and truthful and accurate.
I will say I heard someone was like trying to go onto Wikipedia and like just mess with things, and it was very quickly like turned back to the way it was because people are pretty vigilant about being like, no, that's not right.
Yeah, you have some dedicated moderators on there.
Yeah, but I mean, humans make errors, so it's
No, they
guarantees. Mm-hmm.
We have done nothing wrong ever in the history of the world.
Right. No,
Especially-
humans don't do anything wrong.
Especially not white people, right?
Of course not.
Definitely not.
That's funny.
Anyway, one of you, I don't remember who already, mentioned mockumentaries earlier. I looked up the definition for a mockumentary. And it says basically that it's specifically taken to be serious in order to make it not serious. It says it takes the form of a serious documentary in order to satirize?
Satirize?
I don't know how to say that word.
It's satirize.
Okay, I will take your word for it.
What about Saturn?
No. And I swear that I've seen a mockumentary before, but for the life of me, I cannot think of one.
Have you watched The Office?
I have watched like an episode.
So you've seen an episode of a mockumentary. Have you watched Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Is it a mockumentary? Because it's
Yes.
only 20 minutes at a time.
Yes,
and,
it's a
what is
mockumentary.
A mockumentary.
It's a mockumentary.
Even
Okay.
though it's it's a stop.
Also, this is Spinal Tap. That's a mockumentary.
I've not heard of that.
Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping
Yeah, that one.
is a mockumentary. I know there are more.
Yeah, there's a bunch, but I was just like, I couldn't think of any. I swear I've seen one, but I could not think of anything.
The Office is probably the most popular. Also, this is Spinal Tap.
I mean, I've heard of one of those, so that leads me to believe one is more popular than the other.
I guess it depends on who you're talking to. What age group generally?
Sure.
Yeah.
So do you guys
Yeah.
do you guys like mockumentaries? What's the appeal?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, generally.
As far as like The Office, I have trouble I like it, but also kind of like I'm also kind of with it. But I really fell into Parks and Rec. That I think their comedy hits home for me a little better. And Hayden did show me a Pop Star when we were in college, and it was really good, really well done.
Yeah.
What is that about? I assume Pop Stars.
Well, it's. Are you familiar with The Lonely Island?
Yes.
Yeah, it's basically them. It's
okay.
It's in that movie they have a different name, but it's the three of them. You know, Andy Samberg's character. Basically, it's the story of him separating from the other two when they were like a trio, and going on to do his solo career. And then, of course, it's one of those things where it's obvious, you know.
Gotcha.
they go through the motions of a regular band like that. Breakup, solo artist becomes gets an overinflated ego, crashes and burns, and then reunites with his friends.
Yeah.
Although not much of a crash and burn, sort of. But also, of course, the big highlight is their new songs for the movie too.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the songs they made for the movie are hilarious.
Gotcha.
And of course I think it's funny because they get it's funny seeing it cut with the the real famous musicians. You know, you get I think Geddy Lee shows up once or something, and it's a lot of people, and
Pink is in there. I think Usher's in there too.
Pink, yeah, Usher.
I know those names.
CeeLo, I think, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one.
Yeah, but one of my favorite lines is I think it's Bono actually that says it, or no, maybe it's Ringo. I think it's Ringo, where he did the song with Andy Samberg's character did the song with Pink about like gay rights, about gay marriage and how it should be legalized and everything, how it should be okay and accepted. And like after the video, he's just like, he's making this song about gay marriage like it's not okay. Like it's allowed now. Like who are you making this song for? What?
Gotcha. So again, I can't remember which one of you said this. I think it was Hayden said that you don't really watch history documentaries, you don't really watch nature documentaries.
So I guess I thought about it just after I said that. I guess technically a lot of most of the documentaries I watch are historical. They're just not like,
they're like recent history.
Why
yeah, mostly recent. So like the most recent one that I have seen, I believe it's possible I at least started another one since then, but the most recent one I watched all the way through was Disclosure, which is a really good one. It's about trans representation in media. It's kind of hard to watch sometimes because there are definite moments where I tend to get very emotional.
Understandably so.
Yeah. I also somewhat recently started, I think there were two that I started and didn't get through yet. One of them was newer. I want to say it's called High Score, but I can't remember if that's exactly what it was. It's about gaming, like gaming basically. I can't remember if there was more specific focus.
That sounds about right. That's on my queue on Netflix.
Yeah, and then there was an older one that I decided to get into, which I still haven't finished yet because of the show Pose. It's what's it called? I feel like it's Paris is Burning. Which it's a good one. I mean, if that's kind of history stuff that you're interested in. Again, that's about like the ballroom scene in New York in the 80s and 90s.
Interesting.
So basically a more real life real life telling of the stuff that they go through in Pose, the show Pose, if you've ever seen that.
I have not.
It's a great show. I recommend it to everybody.
Josh, what about you? What kind of documentaries do you generally lean towards?
Oh, I enjoy a good nature documentary just to kind of like as some background noise, but I also find myself like getting into it because of the learning about the different animals and seeing their survival struggles.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've been looking at some stuff about cults.
All right.
Yeah, I mean they're hard to watch sometimes because
I bet.
Again there's some rough stuff that people get. But it's interesting to see how people tend to fall through the cracks into believing these people, these leaders, and the leaders are very like they have a psychological profile to them.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see like, okay, I know what to look out for, for a cult leader. This is what a cult leader is. It's basically, and it's good that they show this to people so they don't, so others don't fall into this hole that
I'm just
these other followers did, like the ones in like Heaven's Gate, the Nexium one. It all starts, seems like, oh, this is to help people. This is to enlighten you, and we're going to be your new family. But then it turns into we own you, and you have to do whatever you say.
Yeah. Again, I'm just thinking about YouTube videos because that's what I spend most of my time watching. There was one. It wasn't about cults, but it was about like scamming rings and how like these scammers call like generally middle-aged ladies and get them to send like tens of thousands of dollars in cash. And it was really cool to see like have them break down like how they do these scams. And like I feel like getting information like that out there both about like scams and about looking out for these kinds of people because they have this
Mhm.
cult leader personality.
Yep.
Right? It's valuable information that should be out there. And
Very
people
fast.
should learn.
Yeah, very fast talkers using keywords to trick them into dumping all their money to them.
Mhm.
It's
Well, yeah,
really
they talked
sad.
about like a lot of like emotional manipulation, right? If you think about like a woman in her 50s, right, and you're like, because the whole idea behind the scams is that like they make it look like there was a mistake in some banking and they accidentally gave you too much money and they need you to send it back by mail, and they're like, oh, my wife and my children are gonna starve if you don't, and like these women have compassion and they're like, okay, I'm sorry, we'll fix it, and then
Or
yeah.
yes, some were like your relative is being held hostage, or you made a mistake on your taxes, and
Oh yeah.
you gotta go ahead and fix it right. You can fix it right now if you're
Yeah,
hurting.
it's things
Right.
that are made to scare you
Right.
to take an immediate action without thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the more information that's out there on those sorts of things and how people manipulate other people is good.
Yeah, yeah.
More of that, please. Always.
Do y'all remember this documentary that came out last year? It was a kind of a docu-series. Took the world by storm, especially
I
'cause
didn't watch
came
it.
out-
What was
about,
it?
I didn't watch
it was,
any
it was
of it.
about it was about big cats and this guy who was
Tiger
the-
King?
Yeah, Tiger
Ah,
King.
I very purposefully did not watch that.
Oh, it was awful.
I knew exactly what you were talking about. I'm just like, nope. I heard a lot about it. Didn't
I think
care
my
at
dad
all
watched
about
it.
watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a wild, ride, and I think it was a good, like, it kind of came out right as the pandemic hit, so we were all kind of like, what is this thing? Let's all watch it. And we didn't have anything else to do because we were told to stay home.
Literally,
And
there are so many other
do
things
anything.
on Netflix that you could have
I'm
watched.
gonna say,
Really.
yeah.
I've been watching like trashy, like kind of romance-based reality TV. Not a
I
lot
did
of
that-
it, but like
I
a
did
little
that
bit.
for a bit,
And I
yeah.
don't even feel too bad about that because at least I didn't watch Tiger King. So
Hannah, I'm sorry.
You gotta understand. You gotta understand all.
And
the
I'm very
memes, though.
curious. I'm
Hmm.
very curious what you watched. And we can talk about this. This isn't off topic. This is
yeah.
kind of documentary.
No, so actually, I haven't watched anything too trashy. I've been like sitting on it and been like at war with myself. Part of me is like, I want to, and part of me is like, no,
I
don't.
watched some really trashy.
I watched both seasons of The Circle. Is the main thing that I watched.
I like The Circle a lot.
I liked it a lot.
I haven't gotten to season 2 yet. I'm waiting until
Yeah.
I'm done with the shows that I'm currently going through again.
Well, now I'm curious.
Well, so I mean, like, nothing really bad. Like shows
okay.
that I've seen before, or shows that have been out
Gotcha.
that have new seasons. Like Breaking Bad, I'm going through again with my mom.
Gotcha. Yeah.
A couple other things. I am also going through How I Met Your Mother on my own. So
Those Patrick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like The Circle because for anyone who doesn't know, it's this idea that there's 10 people in an apartment building and they only communicate through like their specific sort of social media. So they never see each other face to face until like the finale. And I think it's really fascinating because it's like a lot of them are not who they say they are, and you can lie so much because like everything's just in text and things can be misunderstood. And so like to me it just is like a huge social thing, and I'm like I think it's really fascinating.
They were
Yeah.
all in the same apartment building, and they were.
Yeah, but they have different apartments.
yeah, and
And
they're
they were
And they
like,
just
can only
communicating.
communicate.
I guess they're like soundproof.
Yeah.
Soundproofed or
More or
something.
less,
They
yeah.
must
And they did,
be.
and
Right?
did they have to leave the apartment at all? And
No, they stay there
No.
for like weeks
Yeah,
Oh,
like some
wow.
people
all by
like,
themselves.
There are times where like, because they do like voting rounds where they vote someone out, and
Mhm.
so when someone's voted out, they get to go see someone else.
Yeah.
Of their choice. So of course that creates
Drama.
drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's
it-
not
it
really
is
that trashy.
interesting.
I don't
I
think.
mean, I don't think so. There are some trashy characters,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but like no, it's also just irritating. Again, I haven't seen season 2, so none of this is based in that. But it is a bit irritating when like some characters are like, this person's totally not who they say they are. No one's like this. And then of course they're talking about the like one of the most open and honest people.
Yeah.
But then they also are convinced that one of the catfish is
Right.
more real.
Would you hate like a really minor spoiler from season 2?
I kind of would, actually.
Okay, all right. I won't say it then. But there was something in there particularly that like identified someone as a catfish or not that I was like, that's BS right there. But anyway, yeah. So, what were we talking about before this?
We're still talking about documentaries,
Okay.
but
Yes,
you were
we
talking
remember
about
that.
trashy ones that you
Yeah,
watch.
That you'd
yeah.
rather watch than the trashy documentary that is
Tiger King. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's about, but it just sounded like everyone in it was terrible.
They were
And I'm
all
like-
terrible people.
Right.
But it was the story of like the guy and the zoo and all
Mhm.
and all the drama between all those
Right.
individuals.
I thought
So,
it was
like-
Carol
And
Baskin.
it was kind of
I don't
it
know.
was kind of far-reaching too, because they were connected to other zoos that have
Gotcha.
similar problems
Gotcha.
between the
You see, even when I watch my trashy reality TV, like I like things that are really uplifting. So I've been into like, not like I watched a little bit of like the Great British Bake Off, just a little bit, but like things that are like that. So like these competition shows, but all of the ones I watched were really wholesome, and they're like, oh, like you did amazing, and everyone like is supporting each other, and I'm like, this is what I want. I'm like, I don't want to watch something where everyone's just awful to each other all the time. I'm just like, especially during COVID, I was like, I need positive vibes.
I was with someone last week who I was just kind of for watching whatever they wanted to watch, and we watched I think it's called Hell's Kitchen.
Mm.
Yeah, the one of the ones with Gordon Ramsay.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like earlier, like last year during the pandemic, I was watching. Oh God, I definitely call it a trashy one. There were some trashier ones I watched a little bit of, but it wasn't my choice immediately. It was Too Hot to Handle.
See, that's the one that I'm like, that one seems like it might be too trashy for me.
It is.
I know, we're getting off topic.
Honestly, I didn't think it was too trashy, but no, I mean, this is good to discuss. It's another kind of documentary. Like, it really is. It really is. Like,
It's an interesting sort of thing. It's a reality show, but like,
I definitely think it's worth bringing up in this discussion.
I feel like they're neighbors.
Yeah.
Because definitely a reality show is supposedly more improvised, right? But I feel like if you approach it, so like the way that I approached The Circle was like, yeah, it's fun, like, and it's just kind of silly at times, but like I really did think it was fascinating, and I feel like I learned a bit about like human behavior, and I watched. This might shock you. I watched one of my favorites that I watched was a fashion design competition, which if you know anything about me, fashion is like not my thing, but I learned so much. And I'm like, this is really cool. And it's a different sort of thing, but like it still could be beneficial and you could learn things from it.
Yeah.
So
I've been watching. I watched that documentary, Have a Good Trip, about psychedelics.
Oh, okay.
And not in the place to take them myself, but I think it's good to learn about people's experiences with them, so you can kind of like get past all the they're terrible for you, they'll rot your brain, drugs are all bad, yada yada yada.
Right.
But this is a good like eye-opening thing about so this is what they actually do, and this is what they're actually this is what they could be good for, this is what they could be bad for,
right.
Actually learn about like this concept instead of hearing all the bad stuff.
Yeah. So Hayden might disagree with me. I don't think reality TV shows are documentaries, but I think that if you watch them
they are cousins. Yeah.
I think if you watch them with the mindset of like, what can I learn about people, about how they operate and all of these things, then, and I mean, the only way to learn that is to throw them into crazy situations.
Yeah. And again, as you were saying about like The Circle, I think you said this, maybe I interpreted it this way. Like it's a social experiment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If nothing else. And I think just because they are sort of documenting that,
Mm-hmm.
Again, just some of them, because at work for a while, we were in a spot where we were just kind of sitting in a room for a while, months or so, doing really simple, repetitive tasks over and over. Some of us, they put on trashy TV, basically. So one was like, I can't remember what it was called. It's like something Island, I think. And it's like couples go to these two different like resort places on this island. They're kind of far apart from each other. And like the men and the women are separated, and then but in the couple they're separated, but then all these single people of the opposite gender get mixed with the others, and so it's about like who's gonna cheat and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think very about trashy.
If you think about it,
is that a documentary?
Well, so here's what I'm thinking is, if you think about it, right? What is a nature documentary other than just like running a camera on a bunch of animals? And reality TV is the exact same thing,
right? Like
just running a camera on a bunch of animals.
This is what we do in this podcast. We connect nature documentaries to reality TV.
Oh my!
Trashy reality.
Multiple kinds of bitches.
Fun fact. If you'll never watch Tiger King, Hannah, they actually one guy that filmed a lot of content for that made it into the documentary before it was a documentary or docuseries. He was trying to get that whole zoo to be for the guy to have a reality show, but it never got picked up.
Interesting.
And, so it was going to be a reality show, had potential for that, never got picked up. Then all that stuff turned into a documentary, everything that happened between,
interesting,
when the guy came on and when they finally made the docuseries.
Gotcha. Well, in terms of documentaries that are like, everyone would agree are documentaries, or at least most people, what are some strange documentaries you've seen? We're not including reality TV in this conversation, unless you got nothing else, Hayden. But Josh, you said earlier that you had a strange documentary that you've seen.
Don't F with Cats. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It does get dark. It's dark. It takes a turn like that you wouldn't expect. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting when I watched it. I'm like, okay. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit, but it was like it makes sense at the end. But Hannah, be careful watching that.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'm scared.
If you watch it, just be careful.
I have a suspicion of what the twist might be, but I
don't want to know. Hayden,
cats are kind of horrible, honestly.
Hayden, do you have a strange documentary that you've seen?
I don't know. I guess it would just depend on what you'd consider strange. Not really.
Not really?
No. I mean, I watched one about a guy who is really good at making sushi. If you want to consider that strange. I don't necessarily.
That just sounds fun to me.
Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I
always enjoy documentaries, but I don't watch them nearly as much as I would like to.
Yeah, same. I don't know why my best friend and I did this in high school, but we watched a documentary about a guy who basically he proposed to his girlfriend and she said no because his penis was too small. And so he traveled the world trying to find ways to make his penis bigger.
That is a weird documentary.
And I was like maybe 15 when I watched this, and I'm like, why did we do that? Why were we watching this? Like, I don't understand. I don't think he was very successful. Spoilers. I don't think he was generally very successful.
Dude, just find someone else.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, actually, like from what it sounds like, his penis was really, really small.
Like a micro penis?
Yeah, like possibly. Yeah. And it's just kind of, I don't know why. As a teenager, my friend and I were like, we should watch this. I think she'd seen it before and was showing it to me, and she was like, you gotta watch this. I'm like, why? We're still friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's nice. That's nice.
There was You know what? Actually, and I guess if I really had to think about it and really had to say the weirdest one, even though, again, it's not really all that weird. And I feel like this is like, I almost feel like if anyone that's ever seen a documentary has probably seen Super Size Me.
I've not seen it, but I'm familiar.
You haven't? Yeah. I guess that's technically probably the weirdest one. I mean, if you think about it, it's about a guy who sees how much McDonald's he can eat.
Yeah, let me push myself to almost
See,
dying.
That sounds like a YouTube video.
Yeah, these
Bringing
days.
it full
That
circle.
was pre-YouTube though.
Okay. Because if that's a documentary, heck, anything on YouTube could be a documentary. I mean, to be fair.
Accurate.
Yeah, Bridget, you gotta. It also it crosses lines with vlogs too.
Vlogs.
Yeah, vlogs.
Yeah, video logs.
Yeah. Like
vlogs.
Yeah,
vlogs.
Yes.
Actually, I was gonna say vlogs is actually way more.
Why are we calling it vlogs?
I don't know.
I mean,
because Josh said it and then I couldn't unhear it.
Well, y'all were talk about like reality shows and how they're cousins with documentaries. So vlogs are kind of, also in the family tree.
No, I understand why you're mentioning them. I don't know why you're calling them vlogs.
Yeah, instead of vlogs.
That's just what I call them. Leave me alone.
But it's
weird.
A vlog because it's like a
vlog.
blog. It's like a blog. It's just on video.
Okay, anyway. Sorry.
Do you call blogs vlogs?
No, vlogs.
So then why do you not call it a vlog?
I don't know. That's just what I've always called them.
Okay, sure.
Okay, anyway, last question. What would a documentary about your life be called? I've thought about this. I don't know. I've not thought about this exactly. I've thought about like what my stand-up comedy act would be called, and I feel like they're probably the same. It would definitely have something to do with homeschooling, because that's a big part of like my identity, I think. But I don't know what it would be called. I don't make titles for things because I'm bad at
it. Mine. I don't know. Would it be too aggressive to just call it WTF Am I?
I think that's fair.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. Josh? This was your question.
Right?
No, I know.
I thought you should have come up with an answer first.
Yeah, really.
Well, I played around like we could give each other names for our documentaries. Like I would write the title to Hannah's or Hayden's and
okay. Well, what would you call mine then? Because I didn't come up with a name for mine.
I don't know how this question just came up to my head when you
Okay. Maybe I'll call mine like Homeschool Prom Queen or something.
Yeah. I would
might as well. We didn't have a prom queen. We did have a prom. I probably would not have been the queen.
The mindful, patient, impressionable man. I don't know.
Wow, deep.
Okay, so that was just a lot of work.
I'll just call mine supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. There we go. Big words.
Taken.
Impressionable. That's what I'll call myself.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like next week is gonna be a lot more fun. Maybe not more fun, a different kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I feel like having a conversation where we connected documentaries and reality TV is not where I expected this to go today.
I didn't either, but
it
was surprising.
I like it.
Fun.
Yeah.
So
go
what
watch
are
documentary.
We? Oh yeah.
Yeah, go watch documentary.
Please. We're so organized.
Yes, always.
So Hayden, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we are doing video game survival scenarios. Maybe we need to find another phrasing for it, another title for it, because Hannah was saying that it kind of sounds a lot like the music scenarios.
Well, sometimes we make music for like kind of video game-esque scenes, so I was confused.
Okay.
So what is video game survival scenarios?
This will be just coming up with scenarios that you see commonly in different video games, and trying to decide how you might survive these scenarios if you were in charge, or if you were the protagonist in a video game. So there's a lot of interesting stuff.
Manipulate some video game physics, maybe, in our imaginations.
Maybe. Or maybe we'll put real world
I'm gonna
physics
glitch
into
through
that.
the wall.
Maybe we'll put real world physics into it.
We could.
Just hack the game.
Ooh, actually, that did give me a great idea, but you'll see when we get there.
Later. That's for next week. I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody else is. Until then, nerd out.
Nerd out.
Nerd out.